Okay, I'm back. Good thing I checked too because it was the dogs. They were chasing around one of our baby chicks. But she's okay. Okay, so, back to her. Let's see. So we're talking about making a tree. So we want to do anything besides making that circuit. And so think about this as a sprinkler system. If you've got water going like this, don't you have water kind of like fighting against itself? Here, if we do that as a tree, then every sprinkler is getting water, so every sprinkler will work. We don't have any extra pipes, and we have no water fighting going two directions at the same time, okay? All right, so that's what we're looking at here. Okay, let's see. The next thing we're going to talk about is a spanning tree. So we say a spanning tree is one that removes edges of a graph until a tree is formed. So I'm going to go back up here with our basic example that we've already had a number of times. Okay, our house with the lines through it. Now the thing to remember, the one thing that gets people here is remember that this is an edge and that is an edge. They are separate from each other because there is a vertex there, okay? So we look at this and we already said that there was no tree here. So what we want to do is form a tree, okay? And there are lots of different ways to do this, but a spanning tree means we're going to start to remove lines that we don't need. And you could do this any way you want. My first line I think I'm going to get rid of is that guy. Okay. Still, everybody is connected, right? We didn't need that guy at all. Okay, we could also get rid of this guy down here because still, again, everybody is connected. We didn't need that one. Maybe I'll get rid of this one. Okay, is everybody still connected? Now, the thing is that we still have circuits going on there, so we have to keep going until we get rid of all of the circuits. So maybe I will get rid of this one. And we're almost there, but notice how we still have a circuit here that's closed off. So again, you might choose one or the other. I don't care which one you choose. I'm going to choose that one to get rid of. And then what we're left with is what we call a spanning tree. So we have the possibility of all of the different edges, and we decided on these edges, and we ended up with something that's a tree in the end. Okay, now, why is this important? Okay, where does this come into play? So the idea behind this is that when you're looking at a tree, we are thinking about real world examples. Consider the sprinklers. Okay, that first graph where we had the sprinklers with all the little lines like that, that would not have been a great example of a tree. It was a tree, but it wouldn't be a great way to do a garden. This would be a far better way to put in your sprinkler system with your garden. Much less in the way of digging up the whole garden, okay? And there are other ones as well. So when you're approached with a problem like this, so in this case, putting in a sprinkler system, or another case might be putting in sidewalks, or putting in train tracks. So getting more along the lines of kind of like city planning, okay? Well, if you can do this in a way where you don't make too many circuits, okay, you can eliminate cost of supplies, cost of beauty. I mean, like ripping up the yard, lots of different things that you can eliminate. So that's where we're kind of headed with this. And so after figuring out how to make a spanning tree, then what we really need to do is look at a minimum spanning tree. So a minimum spanning tree. So if each edge has a weight, and we'll talk about that in a minute, then a minimum spanning tree, is the one in which the weights are minimized while still creating a tree. Okay, so what that means is when we go to do these guys, the graphs or the figures that we're going to be looking at, they're going to have some numbers on them as well. So here I'm just going to draw this example that we have here. So we got A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So sorry that I have to write this out, but you guys have it there. Okay, and then let's see, is everybody connected? No, D is not connected. Okay, so we start off with a graph that's most definitely not a tree. But the other thing about this is that all of these guys have little numbers on them. 4, and 5. Did I get everybody? Okay, got it. Okay. Now these numbers represent what we call a weight. Now in some situations, the weight might be a distance. In this case, you can tell it's really not meant as a distance because that guy has a weight of 1 and this guy has a weight of 3, but they look just about the same length to me. And here's a weight of 9, but it's by far not the longest. So it doesn't always mean distance. It might mean cost, okay? It might mean cost to build something. It might mean the difficulty of building something. Okay, so let's say these were all roads. It might be that in order to put this road in, all you need to do, it's nice and flat, you just lay down some asphalt, done. Where this one might be going over a mountain. So even though this length is not very long, the difficulty in building over a mountain gives this a difficulty of 9, where that's a difficulty of 1. So again, it might be distance, it might be cost, it might be difficulty. There are lots of different ways that the weight can be measured. Okay, so don't just get into the fact that it always means distance. Okay. All right. So what we want to do. Oh, you guys, I'm having a really, really bad day with these dogs. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm not going to turn it off. Let go! Oh, I love my animals, but sometimes today is not that day. Okay. All right. So anyway, so we've got a figure with all its weights on this, and now we want to create a minimum spanning tree. So to create the minimum spanning tree, We actually use a process called Kruskal's algorithm. Okay, so this is the process, the step that we go through here. Okay, so first, we're going to choose the edge with the lowest weight. Then we're going to choose the next lowest. Now, after we write this down, you're going to be like, really? Somebody had to come up with this? So we're going to choose the next lowest edge. And we are going to continue without making a circuit. So as I said, this is the process, but it's like, really? We needed to write that down? Okay, but this is how we go about doing this. So this is the way, I mean, I can erase things nicely on the board. You don't have that ability. So this is the way I would do this. I would put the different vertices. So we'll go A, B, C, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So put the vertices, but not the line segments, not the edges yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to build it up here. So we want to start with the lowest weight. So when we look over here, this from A to B, that is most definitely the lowest weight. Don't you agree? So there, whatever it is, distance, cost, difficulty, whatever it is, from A to B is the lowest one. So we're going to write that in there and write its little weight on it. Then we're going to look for the next lowest weight. Okay? So as we look around, the next one would be the 2. Everybody agree with the 2? So we're going to put in from B to G with a 2. Okay, now third says to continue this process but without making a circuit. So the next lowest weight would be a 3. And I actually see a 3 here and a 3 here. Now, we're going to use this 3 because that 3 is going to connect B to C. Okay, we'll give it a little label. But do we want to include this one? Okay, so it has a small weight of 3, but what happens if we connect those two guys together? Do we then have a circuit? So what that means is that this, even though the number is nice and small, this is an extra line segment. We don't need this guy because we've already connected A, B, and G together. So we don't need to use all of them, and so we're deciding we're not going to use this guy. Okay. So then we move on to the next lowest number, which would be the 4. And we have 1 4 going down to F. 1 4 going down to F, give it a little label. And then we have another 4 going over here to D. And are we still good? Have we created any circuits at all? It's looking good, isn't it? Okie dokie. Then after 4 would come 5. Now again, here we are in the situation that we see this 5 over here, but do we want to do that? Do we need that? Have we already gotten from A to F? Do we need to put in this guy? We don't, do we? Now, that's a more direct route, but the minimum weight is not there. So we'll get rid of this guy. Okay, we don't want that way. Do we want this one though? So if we go from D to E. Okay. Now, hopefully you look at that and you see that everything is connected. Okay, there's no circuits, it's a tree. It's a weird looking tree, but it's still a tree. Okay, everything is connected. But sometimes people get carried away and they go, oh no, next is 6. So if you did continue on and you get all carried away like that, and you go like this to put in the one that says 6 on it. Oops, I forgot to label this 5. What has happened there? Okay, there you've created a circuit. So you have to kind of remember what you're doing, and when you're done, okay? So when you have this minimum spanning tree, here's the visual But also what we want is the weight. So over to the side, we're going to add up all the different weights that we had. So we're just gonna add up our different line segments. We're gonna have 1, 3, 4, 5, a 2, and a 4, right? I got them all. And if we add all those up, let's see, we have 8, 12, 13, 14, 19. And whatever was on the 19, if it's time, if it's feet, if it's money, you know, we would put a label on there, but that's what we've got going on. Okay. So, one more of these guys to give you another understanding here. So this says a company is considering a gas pipeline to connect 7 wells. The architect has given these drawings with attached weights in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, so again, I'm sorry I can't just put this up there. Bear with me a moment while I draw this one. So we'll go A, B, C. This guy, I don't know where they get their lettering system. G, this is F, here's D, here's E, and here's H. Wackadoodle, okay? Okay, and then we've got, let's see, we go all the way around the outside, we go all the way around the outside. And then we do some weird stuff on the inside. So on the inside we go A to D, we go B to E, E to D, D to F, B to F. Okay, I believe that's it. Okay, bear with me one more minute while I put in the numbers. 23, 15, 10, 11, 35, 20, 27, 19, 30, and 14, and 28. Okay. Okay, so take a minute to get it all drawn down there, okay? Now, remember, what they're connecting is 7 wells. So this is an important thing to notice. Notice how we do have a cross here, but there is no well there. So this 19 that's labeled on this is going all the way from A to D. Okay, so we could say like A to D is 19, and the same thing goes here. It's not B to this middle point, it's B all the way to E, so B to E is 30. Okay, so even though it normally would go, oh, another vertex, in this case it's not, and that comes from reading the problem. Okay, so apparently it's very expensive to put in gas pipelines. Okay, so what we're looking at is that these measures, these weights, are in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So to go from Z to G is $100,000. Which isn't that $1 million? It seemed easier just to say it like that. But anyway, whatever. Okay, so this is very, very pricey. So do we want to be putting in all sorts of extra lines, and do we want to be putting in like long ones like this 27 if we don't need it? Now this is 35, that would suck too. Okay, so this is definitely time for a minimum spanning tree. So again, we're going to put the wells in this case. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Sometimes I think they just like to screw with you by putting the letters all over the place. I mean, it's so weird, but whatever. Okay, so remember that the idea is we find the minimum weight that there is. And it looks like the minimum is that 10, right? So we're going to go from C to G with a 10. Okay, then after 10, the next smallest would be the 11. So 11. Okay. Then after the 11 would be the 14. Now this is different than the last time because now we put in this pipeline here, but it's not attached to what we already had, and that's okay. Eventually the whole thing will come together, okay, eventually, but it doesn't have to start that way. Okay, so we can kind of be all over the place. Eventually we will make a tree. So after the 14 would come the 15. So notice with every single extra line that we draw in, it's coming together a little bit closer. Let's see, after 15, it looks like we're looking at that diagonal 19. Everybody agree from A to D? 19. So again, we're not all attached, but it's coming together. After the 19, 20 would come next, and there's a 20 right there, 20. So now if we put that in there, are we still okay? Have we made a circuit anywhere? Have we closed it off? Okay. We haven't, right? So after 20, the next one would be 23. Do we want the 23? Do we want to include that one? We don't, do we? Okay. So we'll skip the 23. Then the next number after that would be 27. That's this long diagonal here. Do we need that diagonal? Do we need to go like that? We don't. We'd make another circuit. We've already got all that connected. Then finally comes the 28. Do we need the 28? Okay, so we most definitely need the 28 to hook up H there. Okay, now, it's not maybe a pretty pipeline, okay, kind of, all over the place, but that's not what was important here. What is important to this company is to minimize their cost, right? They don't want to be charging millions and millions and millions of dollars for this. It's going to be bad enough as it is. So what we've done is we've created the tree for them, the minimum spanning tree, and then here we will add up the different weights. So we have 15, 10, 11, 20, 19, 14, and 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've done this enough to know that if you've got a lot of little edges in there that it's easy to miss one, so make sure you count them up. So 10, 22, 27, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So I got 117, but then this is $117,000. So, sorry, times $100,000. So what this actually is 117 with 5 zeros. So this is the minimum spanning tree, and it's still going to cost them $11.7 million to put it in. Oops, make sure I put a label on there, dollars. Okay, so definitely important to find the minimum spanning tree, because think, if they decided to use this one instead, think about what that cost would have happened to that cost. All right, so that's the process behind this. Okay? And hopefully you can see from an example like this that it really does have meaning. And you can see as you go to do your homework that some of them they're just giving you drawings that are just little shapes like we've done, but some of them are real examples And the real examples, they do have a purpose, okay? That minimizing the weight. Okay, so I believe that was it for today. Yeah, so for today, you're just looking at making trees, making sure there's no circuits, and then making these minimum spanning trees. So as I said, it's kind of fun, okay? It's not anything too grueling. All right, you guys. So I will see you next time. Have a good day.